Oh God, Talus, that is the single best piece of writing advice and feedback you have ever given me. I credit you for my writing not had the brunette said or the brunette walked in the room. And yeah, no, that's the, what is that, a homonym? Is that what it's called? Thank you for following. Welcome. Cause yes, my writing was littered with that. And you liked epithet. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Epithet. Yes, that's what it is. And that very early on, like my second fanfic ever, Talus was beta reading my fic, and he said you're using these a lot, and so just like look up what an epithet is, and it's fine if you want to use it. It's fine. Yeah, Wing uses that a lot, and it's fine. It's totally fine. Especially in fan fiction, do whatever the heck you want. It's ultimately for you, but for personally, I think that's the best advice you've ever given me. The best advice I've ever received about my fics, about my writing, is just to consider that. And when I went and looked it up, when I went and looked up information on that, so for those, I'm sorry, who are lost, it's like saying, like when you're writing and instead of saying like character name, so instead of saying, Sora walked into the room, you'll say like the brunette walked into the room, or the short boy or the teenager walked into the room, right? You like describe the character as like one of their traits instead of their name. That's what it is. The one with the big feet walked in, exactly. So it's an epithet. I still don't know if I'm saying that right. Is using that instead of like the character name or like using like he or she. And personally, when I went and looked it up, I was like, oh, okay, like I see a lot of people using that. And because you think like, well, I don't want to just do like he or use the character name too much, so I'll use a descriptor to liven up. That's why people use the descriptors, right? Because you're like, oh, I want to liven up the text instead of just saying the character's name over and over and over and over and over again. For me personally, when I went and then did some research and looked at some other people analyzing why you should or shouldn't use those, the thing that convinced me personally, because like again, write however you want, but the piece of advice that convinced me personally was that if you say a character's name, Sora, Sora encompasses everything that Sora is. Sora is short. Sora is a brunette. Sora does have blue eyes. Sora is, Riku's boyfriend. Sora is all of these things. If you say Sora, it's everything that that character is and everything that that character needs to be in that context that you're saying Sora walked into the room. If you're saying the brunette walked into the room, you're reducing Sora to a brunette. Or you're reducing Sora to a teen. That's all you're saying. Like, yes, it's a descriptor of what he is, but like, is it relevant that he's a teenager or that he has brown hair if he walked into the room? Now, if the character doesn't know Sora, if you don't know his name, you would say like a cute brunette walked into the room. Okay, well, you don't know Sora yet. So of course you see the descriptors because character doesn't know who they are. That's fine. That's when you use the brunette or a cute a cute short boy walked into the room or whatever, because you don't know them. But if you already know who Sora is, if the character already, if Riku's watching his boyfriend walk into the room, he's not gonna like the brunette walked into the room. So it's Sora. It's not a brunette. That's not what he is. Not who he is, right? But if you say Sora walked in the room, that encompasses everything that that character is. That was the piece of advice that I read on the internet that was like convinced me. So I was like, use the character's name. Use the character's name over and over because it encompasses everything they are instead of reducing them. And then when you do use something like, a descriptor, an epithet, then it's more impactful or it means something when you use it. Like there's a reason that you're describing that. That doesn't mean you never say, and that's different than like Riku brushed his fingers through chocolate hair. That's different than like that's an action through or looked into his blue eyes, not looked at the blue-eyed boy, right? That's different, right? So if you're creating a mood, if they're lovingly looking into each other's eyes, fanfiction 101 with Peachy. Um, so if there's a difference between, setting a mood, Riku looked into his beautiful blue eyes, rather than Riku looked at the blue-eyed boy, right? That's the difference, right? And everything is situational, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, use it. I'm just saying, for me personally, when I read that piece of advice on how, like, a reason not to use epithets, at least overuse them, because there are situations where it's fine, for me, that is what convinced me. That's the piece of advice that convinced me. And ever since then, I use them extraordinarily rarely to describe a character. And so thank you, Talus, because that was the best advice I ever received. That completely changed my writing. Anyway, stepping off my soapbox. Chocolate hair, and then he ate it. Oh, geez. Yes, in BL, everybody's he. It does make it more challenging, yes, because instead of, if you're describing a scene between, two boys all the time, if everybody in the fic is gay and male, then, you have to use names and stuff a little bit more, because yes, everybody is he. You don't have the he, she, she walked into the room, they're both he. So that you do have to work a little bit harder to, you maybe put in names a little bit more, or, yeah, so descriptors can come in handy. Or like I'll do, like, if it's Sora and Riku's taller than Sora, so it'll be like, he looked down at his boyfriend. If I don't want to use Riku look down at his boyfriend, well, there's only one of them who's going to look down, right? So obviously that's Riku, right? But I wouldn't say, like, the taller one looked down at the shorter one, right? like it's implied. The spiky-haired one in a black coat. So, thoughts. That's my thought process, and I really like how it has improved my perception of my right. I'm very glad that I took that piece of advice for me. Doesn't mean it's right for everyone, but I'm glad that I took that advice for me.